Follow-ups are like tending a spark. The initial email is the spark that lights the fire, but consistent follow-ups are the oxygen that keeps it burning. Without those crucial follow-ups, the spark may fizzle out, but with them you can ignite a strong, enduring flame of opportunity. Hey, Veronica here. Let's talk about an important part of cold emails, follow-ups. That's right, you gotta remind others about yourself or your company. I mean, I'm sure you know this if you've got some experience with cold email outreach. To better analyze this, we've extracted some data from over 1,000 campaigns that our customers send in Woodpecker, and we'll present the best tactics here, so let's dive into it. First things first, why should you follow up? Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to seem too pushy, but let's be honest, we all get a lot of emails daily and it's not easy to grab our attention. We found that even one follow-up increases the chances of receiving a reply from 9% to around 13%. And for more experienced users, it even jumps from a 16% chance of response to 27%. Now, you're probably wondering how to write those follow-ups that can really increase replies, but we'll get into some copywriting tips later in this video. Now, should you be wondering at what intervals to send the follow-up messages? Well, I've got some suggestions here. After the first message, give your prospects some time to think it through and reply. If they don't, the first follow-up message should be sent after at least 2-3 days. Let them know that you know they might be busy and may not have time to open your message. So make sure to remind them about the offer. This is the time to tell them some more details about it. Don't put everything in the first email, but rather encourage them to ask questions. By the way, we have a whole video with tips on writing the perfect email copy for an opening message, and you can check that here. Still no response? Wait for about a week, send them the second follow-up. In between that, think about the prospects you are sending the message to, like how often they would be checking their mailbox and what their usual workday looks like. If, for example, your prospects database is mostly CEOs, they are pretty busy. Spamming them won't do any good. If you know someone worth contacting and your offer could benefit them, reach out even in a few weeks or a month's break. Give them a direct reason why your company is a perfect fit for them. Even better if you have a real case study from your job. So make it an example in your message. I can't count how many times I got a follow-up email saying, just wanted to follow up on my previous email, or just checking in. Yes, it's short and it immediately gets to the point, but it's also so overused that it became one of the cold email cliché. There's also one more problem. This approach doesn't solve the first case of why people don't respond, namely because your message didn't catch their interest. So when writing a follow-up, keep in mind these 5 crucial things. 1. Keep it short, just like in the opening email, or shorter if possible. 2. Keep it simple and easy to respond to. Just like in the opening message, give them a clear instruction for the next step or a simple question to answer. 3. Keep it coherent. Make sure the follow-up is logically connected with the previous message. Don't forget to repeat the same CTA as in the opening email. 4. Keep it natural. Your message should not sound like automatic follow-ups or sales formula learned by heart. You know the specific of your group of prospects, you know how they speak and write, so adjust your opening message and sales follow-ups to them. They need to feel they are about to respond to a real person. And 5. Keep it valuable. Don't write a follow-up message as a reminder that a prospect hasn't replied to your previous email yet. That's annoying. Try to smuggle some value into your follow-ups message instead. Since you don't really know the exact reason why people didn't respond to your initial email, it's wiser to write a follow-up that brings additional value and use a second chance to catch their interest, rather than keep reminding them that you're waiting for their response. Breakup email. The usual standard is 3 for emails per campaign, but ultimately it depends on you and your open response rate. If you see it's pretty low or doesn't change, this is probably the time to think about a breakup email. It's called that, but the last thing you'd want is to break up with a prospect. So a breakup email is a final message sent as an attempt to salvage a sale. The main goal of it, restarting the conversation. When you write breakup emails, make sure to include 4 parts: a clear subject, personalization, a value add, and a call to action. The CTA, for example, can be asking if you can revisit their mailbox in 3 months, or maybe asking for a reference to another teammate responsible for things we could help with. In the end, people may reply and say they were interested but were too busy to reply to the first messages. Others might say the timing wasn't right, but they want to reconnect in a few months. Either way, if you had just ghosted the prospects, you would have missed those opportunities and left them feeling like you didn't care. Next tip, make your email mobile friendly. It might sound silly, but let's be honest, most of the emails we get, we open on our phone. So if they are already opened on a mobile, they should also fit the screen and not take too long to read through. Make sure your email is easy to read. The images inside are not too big, you don't have to scroll in all directions, and most of the information is on the screen, which the prospect sees as soon as they open the email. Another thing to make a habit of is to analyze the opening and response statistic and reacting accordingly. Low email open rate? Maybe it's time to change the subject line. Low response rate? Look at the email copy and try to change something in it. You can also detect if the target audience is right after a few replies. Who knows, maybe it will have to be modified. Following up, as well as cold emailing in general, requires lots and lots of individual testing. So many factors affect the efficiency of your cold email campaigns, and it is you who has to discover what worked best for your own group of prospects. I wish I could tell you there is a golden sequence of follow-ups you could use for your own campaign, but unfortunately there is not. You can of course take the advice from various sources and test it in your own campaigns. But here's another piece of advice. Don't stick to the first sequence you try out. Instead, change the frequency, change the number of follow-up touches, and experiment with the copy. That's the only way to find out what brings you optimal results. You may find out that your first guess was the best one, but that's still worth discovering. Keep in mind the pleasantly persistent, and don't be afraid of following up. Okay, I hope you know now what to focus on when leading the follow-up process. Some of those tips can also be used when writing the opening message, and a lot of other valuable and educational stuff can be found on our blog or YouTube channel. If you don't want to miss a thing from us, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!